The fourth episode of Win or Lose is titled Pickle, which means to be put in a difficult or awkward situation. I first heard this expression used in that classical movie, The Sandlot, but more on that later. This episode answers the questions and the concerns that I had after that last episode. Everything was set up in Raspberry, leaving us at the lowest point so far for any of the characters in the series. We all remember seeing Rochelle at that payphone hoping Vanessa answered her call. And if you're a true fan like I am, you sat through the credits and you heard the phone continue to ring after the initial credits stopped. It truly leaves you in a shattered state. Throughout that episode, we seen Vanessa ignore Rochelle from the very beginning when she had her game-winning play to being on the phone bragging about mom's gotta do what a mom's gotta do, right? When Rochelle was calling her for that parent meeting with the coach, to Vanessa leaving Zane with Rochelle when she would go out at night. And finally, leaving Rochelle hanging when she was calling for help. This episode addresses all those issues and gave us a real look into the stressors of being a single parent. We see all of Vanessa's flaws that weren't on display in Rochelle's episode, and vice versa. Because Vanessa doesn't see Rochelle's flaws until she's forced to face them when the truth slaps her upside her beautiful face. So, starting from the beginning, this episode starts off with a beeping that I thought was gonna take us to some sort of hospital setting. I mean, did any of you immediately go there too? My mind always goes to the worst possible outcome, and the way the last episode ended, I guess I just associated the start of this one with that beeping. It was like someone was on a heart monitor or something. I don't know why. That's just where my mind went. So when we're finally shown that we're in a supermarket, I was caught off guard. And when I seen that it was Vanessa who was the subject of this week, I was already rolling my eyes because of all of the disdain that I had for her. But from the first line down to the last frame, we're shown the portrait of a mom who would crawl to the ends of the earth for her kids. In my last video, I basically called her a garbage mom, but through Rochelle, I didn't see the sacrifice Vanessa was hiding. And I think it speaks to how easy it is to pass judgment on someone until you walk a mile in their shoes. When she missed Rochelle's game-winning play, she was actually dealing with the hater behind her in the bleachers. When she missed the meeting with the coach, she was on the phone pleading with the job that she was just fired from. But instead of putting that stress on Rochelle, she lies to her and says she quit her job to be a full-time influencer. And she's not going out at night to party. She's making money as a rideshare driver, bragging to all of her customers about Rochelle and that game-winning ball that she has displayed on her dashboard. And when we get to why Vanessa didn't answer Rochelle's call for help, it totally makes sense, and it's such a relief to see that she was already out looking for Rochelle. But it was some little punk kids playing keep away. It was such a tense scene because we don't actually know if she answered the call or not. Luckily she does, and here's the first time that we see a character trait cross over to another episode. And by that, I mean when Vanessa pulls up, everything around Rochelle is in that anti-gravity panic state. It's not until she runs up and hugs Vanessa that her surroundings fall back into place, signifying her being at ease again. The entire episode is packed full of gems, but there's a few key scenes for me that really hint to being a more mature aspect of the show. Some of those scenes are like the car scene when Vanessa first meets Tom. This is a textbook scenario for what not to do when meeting strangers. Tom tells Vanessa, a stranger at this point, that he's waiting for Rochelle, and she's like, "It's okay, I'm her mom. Get in." I genuinely laughed out loud. And how he says he thinks he's close to Rochelle, but not like that, unless she said something. But it's when he breaks down Rochelle's burner account and shows Vanessa her real account that, and we see Rochelle dancing and sending something to someone. I don't know, we don't see it, but judging by Vanessa's reaction, it's pretty bad. We got that part where Vanessa is applying for a job at the gym, and the dude interviewing her is asking her how flexible she is. I don't think he was talking about her availability either. But speaking of flexibility, man, Y'all see how she does the splits? And we see her reaching out for the phone from the stairs at that party, right? And did y'all see the way she handled that pancake? Plus she got cake. Man, Vanessa, let me pick up some of them child support payments, girl. Speaking of that party, I know what that lactose girl was an allegory to. Did you see her eyes? Questioning what she's doing with her life to Vanessa? Why would a girl question her life over a slice of pizza? Her droopy eyes and slurred speech, it points to a more intoxication of some sort. But hey, who hasn't been there, right? I just appreciate how this show slips in these little things that only adults would understand. It's similar to how regular show would have wings in place of beer. Like when Benson almost missed his perfect attendance award because he had too much wings the night before.
I'd like to propose a toast. I know that I'm the one being honored tomorrow with a gold watch for showing up to work 1,000 consecutive days in a row.
I appreciate that kind of stuff. I was raised on Rocko's Modern Life and Ren and Stimpy, so
I'll teach your grandmother to suck eggs.
While Vanessa is talking to the girls, we hear her talk about how Rochelle is the one thing that she's doing right in her life. This statement was telling because it speaks to how flawed of a person she is and how she doesn't want Rochelle to follow in her footsteps. It humanizes her in a very real way. She has 2 kids, probably 2 different fathers, right? And there's no support system really set up. It's just her. We see this as she takes Zane with her on every job interview. And look, we've all seen those stories on the news where a mom is getting arrested because she left her child in a car while going on a job interview. Those are the situations that I really struggle with. I mean, it's a lose-lose because on the one hand, you don't leave a child in the car, and on the other, you need a job, and of course an employer is gonna see you bringing in a baby on the job interview as unprofessional. So I'm glad that Vanessa found a job that could cater to her. Another thing I really respect about Vanessa is how she don't got grandma raising her kids so she can go out and party at night. And I keep going back to the party. The way that she busted through that door that she thought Rochelle was behind, the fear a parent has about their child having a child is a very real one. Rochelle is like, in the 7th or 8th grade, and I knew a few girls who were pregnant when we were in middle school. They had a special school for those kind of girls. There's whole episodes of Maury dedicated to scaring these kind of girls straight. So the story and the implications give the subject matter a more complexity than someone who's just praying to get a base hit or a guy who is afraid of commitment. I think this episode speaks to a cycle that I know plagues our society.
Now I'm off to some charity BS for knocked up teenage sluts.
And how Vanessa is trying to break that cycle with Rochelle. She doesn't want her to struggle like she does. And dealing with judgmental parents, I mean, did y'all see the condescension coming from those PTA members? Coming at her for leaving Rochelle home alone, unattended. But that's these new helicopter parents. You don't get that luxury when you're a single parent. I was home alone. I was left home alone since I was like in the 4th grade. I had television to raise me while my mom was at work. So props to Vanessa for standing her ground. Another thing that I wanted to touch on, so the reason Rochelle is so good at softball and is willing to try so hard to play next season is because of her connection to the only strong male figure that she had in her life. That person being her grandfather, Vanessa's dad, who is none other than Benny the Jet Rodriguez. Why does that name sound familiar? Because he was the hero in another baseball movie classic, The Sandlot. Okay, hear me out. Benny was 14 in 1962. He would be 47 in 1995, the year Vanessa would have been born. So he was older. Vanessa had Rochelle young enough to where Benny would have been able to help raise her, instilling the love and appreciation for the game in her. So it's her connection to him that keeps that drive going inside for her to play. I haven't seen any of the sequels, so I'm using the original film to form this theory. Let me know if you agree or if I'm just reaching on that one. One of the aspects that I didn't like though, if I'm keeping it real, and it's a very minor critique, it's how this and TV shows in general treat the Spanish language.
I always find that funny in Hollywood movies where they fake the Spanish.
Do they think that we do that?
I'll be like, listen to me, muchacha.
Listen to me, mucho bien.
Then they go back to English and it's so awkward.
When abuela used to take us here, fool.
I do recuerdo.
Those were los tiempos. But things are, since we were kids, the most important thing to me was my familia. But now there's no familia. The familia is done. We all went our separate ways.
Hermano, come with me.
If you're that broken in Spanish, you usually don't like accidentally speak Spanish.
It's that George Lopez show style of throwing in one or two words of Spanish just to remind you that this is a Hispanic person. I mean, you can be bilingual, sure, but nobody really talks like that.
I have to go back with mi familia in the rancho. Perfect.
It's not even Spanglish. It's this one or two Spanish 1 level words or phrases that you learned in Spanish class, right?
Sometimes I feel like I'm barely hanging out. Buddy, please, deja. I don't know whose kid this is. Somebody need to come get their kid. I'm just kidding. I love him. He's my kid. I love him. I do. Gracias a Dios, my Roshi is on the right track.
It just seems to me like a half-ass attempt to cater to a certain community.
Yes, es bueno por 5 de Mayo, y quinceañeras, la biblioteca. Hola.
Hey, what do you think you're doing?
I am selling salsa to support mi abuela. My burro has run away.
Right.
In my experience, it's either whole conversations in English or whole conversations in Spanish, but this tossing in a Spanish word every once in a while, it just comes off a bit cringe.
Escúchenme! This party is over!
And I say that with love because I truly respect this show. If Rochelle does speak Spanish, maybe have Vanessa talk more Spanish with her. Maybe make Vanessa speak more Spanish than English, and Rochelle explain something in English and then Spanish just to make it more clear to Vanessa. Or have an older Mexican lady stop and try to sell them some tamales at the park, with the conversation being in Spanish. Or single out Rochelle by having someone try to talk to her in Spanish, and then she says that one thing that all of us no sabo kids say.
You speak Spanish? No, I'm sorry, I don't speak Spanish. My great-grandmother does, but I don't.
If she would have said that, if that would have been placed here in the show, it would have gave me chills, but I can't relate to every single thing.
Sorry, I don't know Spanish.
Pero te ves bien mexicano.
I'm American.
Okay, gracias.
But it's okay for characters to be Hispanic and not speak Spanish to each other.
No idea you spoke Spanish.
Oh, sí, claro que sí. We spoke Spanish in mi casa all the time. Lunes, martes, miércoles, and so on.
It's a reality that some of us face. Maybe if there's a season 2, they can address this aspect of the Hispanic culture through these characters. But all in all, this episode is very well done. I love Rochelle and Vanessa. Their story arc is top notch. These 2 episodes handle the text and subtext hilariously while delivering some visually stunning scenes. If you made it this far, muchas gracias amigos. Y por favor, like and subscribe.